Okay, so I'm Jeff Leisawitz, and I'm here with Brown Paper Tickets. I'm also the author of Not Effing Around, the No Bullshit Guide to Getting Your Creative Dreams Off the Ground. And I love talking to creative people, healing people, amazing people who are not effing around. And here is Eileen Dey Wurst.
Yay!
Yay! All right.
Good to be here with you, Jeff.
Yes. Well, thanks for doing this.
Sure.
Awesome. So cool. So, tell me first, what do you do? What's your thing?
What do I do? Goodness, I wear a lot of hats. I am a Reiki master, which means I'm a teacher of Reiki. I run my own Reiki school in Seattle. I'm also a licensed mental health counselor. I'm a writer. I'm an actor. I have that in my pocket.
I didn't even know half of this stuff.
I know. I used to run a show in Belltown called Seattle Cold Readers, where actors and performers would come and just read cold what they were doing.
Wow.
You know, so I've got my creative side, and that creative side has allowed me to do all the great things through Reiki, through counseling, through my writing. Yeah, that's me.
That's fantastic. That's cool. So, what do you love about the stuff that you do?
That I get to do it. Probably every entrepreneur would say that, like, I am my boss. I am my own boss, and I get to create my schedule. I get to put out into the world what I believe helps it to be a better place. You know, I get to take people through the spiritual woo-woo of Reiki, but also to take that, because I'm a vocational school, and allow it to be mainstream. So like we work with veterans, we work with hospice, like we're in organizations, and yet it's spiritual work. It's really cool. And counseling, oh my gosh, if you've ever had therapy, it's such a transformative process. And to witness people go from a place where they're really searching to clarity and insight. I mean, that's being of service in the world. That's what I love.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a good thing to be.
It is.
If you're going to be in something in the world.
Right. It's like, how can I help the world? Well, I'm going to be of service, but like I say, I'm going to do it in the way that I envision it to do. Because, you know, long before I came into my own business, I worked for companies and agencies, and, you know, they have their structure and their rules, and I learned a lot of things and took all that experience into what I got to create.
Fantastic. Okay, so it seems to me like you're pretty successful with this stuff. Someone's got to give you props. That's right. Yeah, that's definitely do it. Honk that horn.
I'm gonna come off as a narcissist on this.
No.
But I am, and I have been. But this is what I tell my students who are also being practitioners and studying and wanting to do similar work, that it is hard work, and you're going to put in a lot of hours, and I certainly have. You'll work more in your life as an entrepreneur than you ever did for anybody else, right? So, you know, we were talking before the video that now I have a successful counseling practice of just about 40 clients total. They don't come every week, thank goodness, but it's self-sustaining. My Reiki school as well has just blossomed and grown, and there's so many incredible teachers, not just in Puget Sound. People from other states and other part of the state have come here to learn. It's amazing to have the opportunity to do this video, and to also just step back and go, if I hadn't taken the steps to do what I've done, all these other people wouldn't, you know, be getting what it is they're receiving. You know, so yeah, it's a good place. This is a good place.
I mean, you're NFA. Let's face the facts. I knew it. I knew it from the start.
I'm a Jersey girl too, so it totally. I got that one out of my pocket. I keep pulling them out. I'm born and bred Clifton, New Jersey. I moved out to Washington 15 years ago by way of Arizona, but my Jersey roots are forever there, and you get me talking long enough, I'll start talking, you know.
Did I tell you I'm from Pennsylvania?
No.
Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania.
Right on, East
Yeah,
Coast.
Reading, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Reading. There's a great taco stand in Reading.
Thank you. Thank you. That's perfect. Okay. Let's move on.
Okay.
Okay, so success. How do you even define it?
That's such a good question. Success is, to me, that you can see the manifestation of the hard work and the effort that you put into whatever creative project you're doing, and that you alone, not the exterior world, but you can look at it and go, this means something. You know, this has validity. This has value. And then, you know, if the exterior world wants to give you accolades and wants to clap and applause, awesome. But that's one level. That's usually what people think of as success, right? Like, you know, people give you praise. But I think for me, it's, you feel it inside, like, I was able to do that. And not just alone by any means. I've had so many people, incredible mentors and guides, and my parents and my family and my boyfriend, like lots of people have helped me to get where I am, you know? And inspiration, I mean, holy cow. I tell this to my students a lot. I'm like, find the things, the words, the music, the images, the role models that inspire you, and bring that into your life. Because there's going to be these days, for sure, where it's just you sitting alone, doing something that's really hard, and you're like, so, you know, Jeff, the book that you're writing is really key because it helps people to get the courage. Because I think you need a certain amount of courage. You don't have to be a super huge risk taker, but you have to be willing to stretch, you know, to succeed.
Yeah, I totally agree. It takes a lot of courage to do what you love.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and we'll get into some questions about that
Okay.
in a minute. So, out of the success that you've had, what have you learned from it? What have you learned from your success?
It feels so cliche. The first thing that comes to mind is don't sweat the small stuff. It's hard to know that in the beginning because like everything is a decision and you're like, oh my God, you know, like did I make the right decision, wrong decision? And after a while you realize it's a decision and it may be good, it could have been better, but it's been made, you know. So that's definitely one. Tell me the question again. That went out my mind. I was like,
Okay. I have another question first. Don't sweat the small stuff. What about the big stuff?
Man. So many different things I've done over the years. Big events, gatherings, festivals, retreat. We do this retreat every year, a lot of organizing. Planning. That sounds so like banal, but like it's important. And I think it's helpful. I tell this to my students. Build like an infrastructure before you need it. You know, so like a system of organizing helps. And I'm really a free spirit, artistic type, and I never thought of myself as entrepreneurial or organized, but I definitely had to cultivate that, you know, in order to get through the big stuff, you know. And it's not always about what I know, because I'm limited in what I know. It's also finding the people or the resources that can help you, you know. I've used a lot of wisdom and from a lot of people to help me through that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, great, thank you. So, how about when you're setting off on a new goal? Do you ever visualize what you want or do some kind of meditation board or any of that stuff? Like, talk to me about that. Does that help you? What do you do?
Yeah. In fact, Thursday of this week, I get to go out to La Push, which is a very spiritual, special place for me out on the peninsula. And I'm just going there for 4 days, unplugging, doing some meditation, staring at the ocean, and really thinking about my business now is in a new cycle of growth, how I'm going to manage that. and what other resources I need. So it's definitely important, not just for me, but for anybody who's being courageous, to not F around, to take time out, and right, to like go within, and whatever that means. Like I have the opportunity to take actual days, but sometimes it's only been a few hours, and I'll just get quiet. I'll lay on my Reiki table, and Reiki is this hands-on healing, and it's really soothing and centering. And just not think, but let intuition come to me, so definitely.
Yeah.
Like a necessity.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. So, we've talked about your success. Have you always succeeded in everything you've done?
No. Oh God, no. I'm sure there is some quote about that, that like you have to have so many failures before you have a success. I mean, so many things. I often say it like this, that there are times to try things and there are times not to, but I haven't always followed that advice. And the analogy I use is that of the cycles of the year, the seasons. So like spring, summer, fall, winter. The fall and winter times of one's inner life is when you're contemplative, when you're letting go of stuff, when you're getting out of the job or the relationship, or you're grieving, you're just, you're in a very quiet place. That is not the time to host a fundraiser or hold a major event if you can help it, because you're really not in the space for it. But sometimes you have to, and I've had that happen, and it really hasn't gone well.
Yeah. Sure.
So learning from that experience, I try and have these different things that have a lot of organization and anticipation about them. When I'm in a more spring and summer place where the energy within is like, it wants to expand. It wants to connect. It's not so interior focused, but yeah, failures, oh God. And some of it's experimentation. That's what I also say to my students too. I'm like, you gotta try it. And if it doesn't work, guess what? You're running the show. You get to fix it.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
So what have you learned from failing?
Oh, to be humble. That, again, like I said it before, that I'm a limited resource. I didn't grow up to become an entrepreneur. It wasn't part of my plan. So a lot of what I had to learn, I learned from others. And they had their own experiences. So when things didn't go as planned, I would always reflect back. And I try not to feel bad about it, but if you're the one being responsible, it'll happen. You'll feel bad. I get over myself. And I'd say, well, how could I do that differently? And I always think that's a key to like working through a failure, or if I have difficulty with a client or with a class or something, it's like, what was going on? Was it the setting? Was it me? Was it my attitude? Was it that cycle of change? Was I a little too moody? So I don't let the failures stop me, but I definitely have to learn from them. And I don't know if I see them as failures anymore, just steps in learning. But back when I started, yeah, I took it pretty hard. Like, why isn't that working? I'd do some sort of marketing thing, or I'd hold a class and it was like crickets, like, not that I'm necessarily an entertainer, but I enjoy feedback from a group, and I'd do something, I would just fall flat. It's probably like someone who's a performer, like,
yeah.
How can I do that differently?
Yeah. So what is it in you that pushes forward when you have
had failure?
Yeah.
Determination. Like, I'm not going to let, just because that event, that class, that whatever failed, stop me. It's one thing. And I look at all the other things that are going well, so it's, I don't know, I'm not a brooder. I'm not like, like I'll never get this right. it's just, I look for the learning in it, you know, and where did that come from? I think that's been with me my whole life, but it helps you navigate it. And when I work with clients, when my counseling clients, and I hear them really take something hard, I try to give them context as well. Like, is this the only time this happened to you? When has something like this happened before? How did you navigate through it? What helped you? What didn't? What do you want to try now? And I follow my own advice, you know, so yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know.
That's great. Thank you. Who is your hero and why?
I have to just pick one?
You can pick as many as you want.
Oh my gosh. My current hero, if she sees this, she might be embarrassed. She's a current student of mine. Her name is June. She's an elder in the community, and she is working with me to be her Reiki teacher. She's an elder. I totally respect her. She has lived a life as an artist, professionally, and her husband a teaching artist, and her world vision is so expansive. And so whenever she comes into one of my classes, I mean, she's an attentive student. She asks a lot of good questions. I always learn from her. And, you know, I know that about my students. I always learn from each of them, but she's definitely someone I'm in awe that at where she is in life, she's pursuing this whole Reiki training. Like, she's reinventing herself. So I'd have to say, like, if I think of other heroes, they're definitely men and women who've reinvented themselves. You know, like they were going down a track and it wasn't working for them, and with the resources they had, they shifted gears, you know. I can't believe I'm going to say this too. My parents, who I love, are also my heroes, because as I hear myself talk, they also have done that. They have reinvented themselves professionally, and also just recently through their own physical health issues again and again, and they don't let it stop them. And I'm like, okay, I'll take that as I edge into being 70 and 80, you know.
Yeah. That's great. And I'm
great.
sure they're going to be happy to hear that.
They are. They're going to be like, oh my God, you said that.
And now it's on video. Oh man. Okay, so in creativity, in writing and painting and sculpting, acting, a million different things, the word on the street is that there is like a healing or therapeutic component to that.
Absolutely.
Can you speak to that?
A little bit. With all the work that I've done in being of service, that part of me definitely needs more presence, like always, continually. I'm always doing that. When I have delved into it, mostly through painting and drawing and acting, the therapy comes with letting yourself yield to the creative flow. It lets you get out of your head and lets you get in touch with something that's greater than you. It's almost like, from a spiritual standpoint, channeling in a way, that the words that you need to say as an actor in a script are there, but the way in which you say them is really true. And how does that happen? That comes through letting the ego get out of the way. When the ego gets out of the way momentarily, it's therapy. Because, like, who's running the show? I feel it's that creative force. When I do the painting and the drawing, I do a lot of mandalas, like different shapes and things. Excuse me. And when I get into that flow, the next thing I know, I'm done with the painting or the drawing. And I don't really have a recollection of doing it, but I feel so much more expansive. it's like that flow of creative force has taken over and allowed that creation to occur. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Right?
I'm glad that came through. The way it came through was the way that it happens.
Right. Perfect.
Done. Done
Living
deal.
it.
Right.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so how about this? We all have doubts and fears, but as an artist, you're really putting yourself out there.
Yes.
So, do you ever have doubts and fears about what you're doing, your value, your talent as a person, as a creative type?
Oh, sure.
And what do you do with that?
I used to facilitate the Artist's Way. You know the book
Yeah.
with Julia Cameron?
Yeah.
And she had a great exercise. It's called the universe jar or the God box, which was like this creation you made where you would put your worries, your doubts, and your fears. And that is something I carried with me for so long, so that when they come up, I can feel them in my body. You know, it feels tight and tense, and I feel agitated and anxious. I'm like, okay, this has got to go in this place. I don't need to hold this. This is my own stuff. And this is really about the art. And you know, when you're talking about art or creativity, is it up to the artist? Isn't it up to the person who's watching it, really? Or viewing it, or taking it in? So that's what I end up doing with my doubts and fears. That little technique of that universe jar, I'm always pitching Julia. You know, maybe Julia, you'll see this. But like that Artist's Way is a good model. Like, get out of your way. Because, yeah, doubts and fears can be debilitating. I mean, they can really make you feel stuck. I think that's what happens when you do get creatively stuck. You just have intellectualized so much stuff, you know? So,
Yeah, for sure.
I would also say this about doubts and fears. A long time ago in San Francisco, I was walking along, there was a billboard, and it said, "Fear is the dark room in which your negatives develop." Right? Like that one? Profound.
Yeah.
I walked the block again, that billboard was gone. It was so trippy. I was like, that did not just happen. That just, what? Right? So I've always taken that statement when I'm in like a fear place. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to keep feeding this thing. I don't need to.
Wow.
Yeah, that's potent.
Potent. That would be a good word to describe it, I suspect. Wow, okay. So with so much struggle in art and entrepreneurship and the dreams that people have, why do you do it?
Why not? It makes life more fun for me. I think I've witnessed so many people in my prior life before I started this creative journey being unhappy in their work and what they do, that I've always, it's like there should be at least one person who's pursuing something passionately, and oh, lo and behold, look at this. I have a job where I help people reach that place for themselves, you know? So it's just about helping too, you know?
Yeah. Okay, last question here.
Okay.
So you are now speaking to the future Reiki practitioners of America, the actors and actresses, the photographers, the dancers, the painters, everybody.
Gosh, wow.
What is Eileen's not effing around bullet points? Like what can you tell them to go from where they are, which could be, you know, sitting in their bedroom reading a book or
That's
working, right, to actually doing it?
Okay. Begin to create a circle or a tribe around you of folks that believe in you. You know, you may have known the same people for a number of years and they're good friends, but they may not be your inspiration circle. You're going to either seek that out or attract that to you. You're going to need your tribe, number one. So number 2, what starts to happen is they'll help you believe in yourself, because you might not believe in yourself right now. So get that support and let that magic start to happen. Infuse your world with inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, infuse it. We are bombarded by so many messages, too many, that are not inspirational. So be selective in what comes into your environment, and whether you have to have, affirmations, words, collages around where you are, whatever you need to do. But have that within you. And then after that, you've really set a good stage, a good platform for whatever it is you want to do. And then that's a matter of, logistics, research. What's the direction you want to go in? Well, investigate that. See if it's a fit for you. And if a failure happens, it really is about learning from it, trying not to take it too hard. Go back to your tribe, your inspirational group, and get feedback from them and move through it. That's it. Because if you just hang on to that failure for dear life, you're never going to let go. That's it.
Done. Eileen, you're so NFA. I love it. Okay. Thanks a ton for doing this. That was great.
Thank you.
It's Jeff Leisawitz for Brown Paper Tickets and Not Effing Around. No Bullshit Guide to Getting Your Dreams Off the Ground.